Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for Thursday, October 16, 2025. And in the news this afternoon, court grants a stay in wholeness challenge against the Integrity Commission. The legal challenge mounted by Prime Minister Andrew Holness against the Integrity Commission report into his finances has been stayed indefinitely by the Supreme Court. The stay was granted on Tuesday when the case came up for hearing before the Judicial Review Court. Andrew Holness and his attorneys were granted the stay pending the outcome of their appeal against an August ruling by the Supreme Court to reject his push to dismiss an affidavit by the IC's Director of Information. Justice Althea Jarrett had dismissed the applications by Andrew Holness and his three connected companies to strike out part of the Director of Information's affidavit as being scandalous, irrelevant, and an abuse of process. The judge held that the evidence is relevant to the claim and that the Director of Information had a duty to disclose the information. In December last year, the Prime Minister was granted leave by the Supreme Court to seek a judicial review in his battle with the Integrity Commission. This followed the IC's refusal to certify his declaration and refer the case to the Financial Investigations Division. In the controversial 171-page report, the IC's Director of Investigation, Kevin Stevenson, said he would not conclude on the question of illicit enrichment, highlighted unexplained financial discrepancies in Andrew Holness's 2021 income filings, and raised the questions about the tax compliance and the transactions of over $470 million involving connected companies and the tax compliance. The IC, which said it could not certify the income declaration, referred the matter to the Financial Investigations Division, citing the Prime Minister's failure to provide the expense details. But Andrew Holness has denied any wrongdoing, claiming the report is flawed and unfairly suggests unethical and criminal conduct by him and affiliated firms. Consumer prices rose in September. Jamaicans faced higher prices in September as the All Jamaica Consumer Price Index rose by 0.8%. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica says the main contributor was a 0.9% increase in the food and non-alcoholic beverages category, driven mainly by higher prices for vegetables, tubers, plantains, and pulses. There was also a 1% rise in the housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels division, reflecting higher electricity rates and rental cost. The education category saw the sharpest jump, up 5.6%, due mainly by higher tuition fees for private primary schools at the start of the new school term. On a year-over-year basis, inflation for the period September 2024 to 2025 stood at 2.1%. The key contributors were housing and utilities, restaurants and accommodation services, and the food and non-alcoholic beverages. Housing and utilities recorded a 4.8% increase, mainly from higher rents, and a 3.1% rise in electricity rates. Restaurant prices declined 4.1%, driven by more expensive meals at the fast food outlets and the cook shops. Meanwhile, the price index for meats rose 6.5%, reflecting higher prices for turkey neck, whole chicken, and the chicken parts. Low birth rate and deaths stymie Jamaica's population growth. The long-awaited findings of the population and housing census was released by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica on Wednesday, and they showed that Jamaica had a population of 2.7 million people in 2022. Speaking Wednesday at a press briefing, Director of the Census's Demographic and the Social Statistics Division at Staten, Stacey Ann Robinson, argued that the low birth rate and the deaths slowed down the growth of the population.
And Jamaica's population in 2022 was 2.7 million, an increase of 2.8% compared with the 2011 census, the previous census year. The average annual growth rate of 0.24% was the lowest over the period 1970 to 2022. The growth rate observed was influenced by a 42.2% decline in the births, moving from 747,788 to 432,080 over the intercensual periods 1970 to 1982 to 2011 to 2022. And it was further impacted by population losses due to deaths moving from 188,993 to 236,687. When we examine the population change between 2011 and 2022, the parish with the largest increase was St. Catherine, which recorded a population growth of 26,545 people. That's 26,545 people. Clarendon ranks second, showing an increase of 13,540 people over the same period. This is followed by Kingston and St. Andrew, with a population growth of 10,478. These figures highlight where the most significant population shifts have occurred, indicating areas of growth that may require increased planning and, of course, resource allocation.
Pinbacker customers. Two Waterford Portmore St. Catherine brothers charged for using their social media business to defraud persons seeking to buy cell phones have made a restitution to the complainants. Having received their money back, the three complainants told the court that they were no longer interested in continuing the case. As a result, the Crown offered no evidence against them, and the brothers, who were charged with receiving money by means of false pretense and the conspiracy to defraud, were freed. Their attorney, Sheldon Campbell, expressed their thanks to the court. The court had heard that in 2024, the brothers operated an online business on social media to sell electronics such as cell phones and laptops. Customers were informed that they would need to make a bank transfer when making a purchase. It was also indicated that after payments were received, the device that was purchased would be transported to customers. The complainants reportedly did as instructed. The court was told that fictitious documents were shared with the complainants, purporting that the devices were sent. However, the complainants indicated that they did not receive their devices and that the social media page stopped communicating with them and eventually blocked them. Reports were subsequently made to the Portmore police, who launched an investigation. The brothers were arrested and charged. They made numerous court appearances until the matter was disposed of on Friday, October 10, 2025. Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.